The Meg is directed by Jon Turtletaub and stars Jason Statham, Ruby Rose, Rainn Wilson, and Bingbing. The plot centers around the discovery of a new ocean below the Mariana Trenches that has been separated by a zero-temperature mist, and within that discovery, the thought extinct megalodons still exist. And through shenanigans, the humans open up a gap in that barrier just long enough to allow a couple of megalodons to get through. So now this team have to hunt down and kill these creatures, and of course everybody just wants to see Jason Statham take on a massive shark, and in that you get what you wish for. However, before I dive into the film, I want to address two things that really annoy me in this. One is the blatant false advertising of the title. The Meg. No, minor correction, minor spoilers actually, but there is actually two Megs in this film. And number two, from a plot perspective, Statham's backstory makes no sense. Basically, something bad happens, and it's implied that he encounters a megalodon, but it's established that the humans crossing that barrier are the first to do so, and it is heavily implied that the Megs only live below that barrier, and are only able to get through thanks to that opening the humans created. So the implication that Statham has seen one of these Megs before makes no sense. And yes, I am here poking a plot hole in a shark movie. Now, let's analyze this thing. In terms of shark movies, there are several routes it could go down. Since Jaws, many films have tried to replicate the shark's terror, but only The Shallows starring Blake Lively even comes close. Many have decided that it's impossible to touch Jaws and decide that going crazy is the best route, hence why we now have the infamous Sharknado franchise, as well as several other Sci-Fi Channel monster movies. Deep Blue Sea tries to balance the seriousness and the madness, and I feel like that's where this film tried to go with the concept. When the film goes crazy with Statham vs Meg, it goes all out, though there are considerable stretches where not a whole lot is going on, and that would be fine if it wasn't for the fact that every character, bar from a couple, are just caricatures. If we are supposed to fear for survival, there needs to be some form of depth outside of the face value. Even characters we are supposed to really care about fall victim to this. Statham is just being his charismatic self, which we all love, but it doesn't exactly feed into the tension the film does try to build, and the genius scientist is predominantly there to deliver blunt messages that feel forced in, which are good messages, but they are just mentioned and forgotten a few seconds later. We have the billionaire character, we have the comic relief character, we have the asshole that has a problem with the protagonist, we have the love interest, we have the strong independent woman, and we have the big guy. They are very cut and paste characters, and they litter this film's cast list. But going back to just focusing on the positives of this, I will say there are 2 or 3 characters which are given a solid amount of depth, or at least differentiate from the caricatures enough to make them memorable. The kid from the trailer is easily the best character in this film, and I will discuss that during my performances section. The leading lady actually feels like more of a character than Statham. Even the billionaire character is surprisingly not as much of an a-hole as we are used to in these films. The actual shark looks good for the most part, and the action scenes are really entertaining. Also, the reveal of the Meg is really well done in that first half hour, with dramatic scenes and a well-built tension, keeping the audience hooked with just a sprinkle of dry humour by Statham and the kid. But this film has a fair few negatives, and I want to discuss these, with its big issue being tone. It jumps from really serious to really casual humour in a blink of an eye. Once the Meg is out and wreaking havoc, we get some comedic deaths mixed with the occasional death scene that's clearly made to play with your emotions, including one of the most badly shot death scenes I have ever seen. I like this character as well, but having the camera wildly shaking back and forth during the final exchange does not exactly play into the emotion and is just messy. Meanwhile, one character who you label as sharkbait is given a brief character arc over the death of one of his friends, and is completely forgotten about until it's time to become the shark bait for the big reveal I had mentioned earlier. The film just couldn't decide on how it wanted to play this. Every death is either comedic or a sacrifice. Heavy and comedy do not mix well, so it's hard for the audience to get a grasp on how they should feel. Also, I know the sharks live in the water, but Jesus, people were falling in the water so randomly, it's almost as if they were trying to be eaten. It happens way too much in this and usually leads to a comedic death. Also, a number of characters are clearly forgotten about by the screenwriter, who clearly has no idea what to do with them, so just cast aside, leading to a lot of pointless side plots. Also, the love story element is virtually soulless, with only the little kid being a positive. As for the messages that are casually thrown in there, like anti-sharking and humanity's desire to destroy after discovering things, these are good messages pitched in a throwaway line of dialogue. If you're going to bring real life issues into your shark movie, then by all means do it, but make it a recurring subplot. I don't even hate this film. It's hard man versus massive shark. That's all people want to see, so I'm not expecting Oscar quality, but at the very least be consistent. A big missed opportunity, weirdly enough, is the megalodon. Megalodons are huge. Look at this image comparing the jaw of a megalodon to a great white shark. That thing could easily swallow several humans whole. That thing could fit a car in there. Their bite is estimated to be up to 10 times greater than the strongest bite ever recorded of a great white shark. If this film leads to more insanity, there would have been so much more potential in what they could have done. Obviously, we don't see anyone graphically eaten due to the 12A or PG-13 rating to you Americans, but if we are going to focus on how big the shark is, then go all out and have it take down a helicopter, or bite a big hole in a ship's hull, or have it swallow 20 beachgoers in one go. Outside of the giant squid, we never get to see it in action living up to its pure size, and if you're going to be a summer blockbuster, why hold back? Getting to the performances finally, Jason Statham is never going to be a critically acclaimed actor, but damn is this man charismatic. He definitely gives the film some elements of fun, though I wish he was allowed to curse more. Bingbing plays the leading lady of this, and apart from some cheesy overselling of a scene seeing Statham in a towel, yes that happens, she is perfectly serviceable. Ruby Rose definitely surprised me. I usually find her overrated, but I feel like she's trying harder than a whole lot of the cast in this film. She has an emotional moment and she throws her all into that one scene. Rainn Wilson is really good as this humorous billionaire, and even when he was being the usual corporate asshole, he still managed to be somewhat likable. Let's talk about the real star here, and that is Shuya Sophia Kai, who plays Mei Ying. Not only is a character well written and avoiding all the stereotypes of kids in either creature features or horror movies, but the absolute sass this kid has in her scenes is great. It's kind of the cheek that's immature as an adult, but from a 10-year-old it comes across as charming. Her delivery when referring to Statham as crazy is really well played. Also, the scene where she tells the comic relief character to shut up is easily my favourite part. She also sells the fear really well. Everyone else's performances are pretty remarkable, but when their characters may as well be called Sharkbait 1, 2 and 3, you can't really expect much. Overall, the Meg has an identity issue with how it wanted to be perceived and just became a total mess with some fun elements and good performances. It's obviously never trying to be a serious film, but it holds back on going all out with its crazy side, and it really hurts the film. It's a fun film, but don't go out of your way to watch it. If I had to choose between this and a Sharknado marathon, Sharknado would win every time, because they at least embrace the fun side of it. The Meg is okay, but a lukewarm cup of tea. Anyway, The Meg. Have people seen it? If you have, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. Hit that round subscribe button for more reviews coming all the time. This is That Spike Head Podcast, signing off.